Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Kaitlyn McGrath. We are tracking the tropics and a very active Atlantic basin. Of course, we have major category 4 Fiona. Moved past Bermuda early this morning, working its way up into the Canadian Maritimes. Tropical storm Gaston, still really not any kind of threat, just going to peter out here over the next several days. It's Tropical Depression 9 that I'm most concerned with here over the next several days. And we're watching two other waves working their way off the coast of Africa. Tropical Depression 10 formed this morning, but that storm going to move off to the north, really no concern. And the other wave has a 30% chance of development in the next 5 days. But let's talk a little bit more about Tropical Depression 9, because this is the storm that all eyes are going to be on over the next several days and as we head into next week. Still fairly disorganized as it sits to the south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. Winds at 35 miles per hour, gusting a little bit higher than that at times, and moving relatively quickly to the west-northwest around 14 miles per hour. Now, as it continues to push to the west as we head throughout the weekend, it is expected to strengthen relatively quickly as it moves into some more favorable conditions and some warmer water. So becoming a tropical depression maybe as early as tonight, if not surely sometime tomorrow. Now, this we initially thought would be Hermine, but now with Tropical Depression 10, it could be Ian. So either way, it's going to get a name here over the next several hours perhaps, or at least throughout the day tomorrow, strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane as it approaches Cuba early Monday morning. This is 7 a.m. on Monday, making landfall over Cuba sometime Monday and then moving into the Gulf of Mexico and pretty rapidly strengthening. And keep in mind, this is just the National Hurricane Center first track at where Tropical Depression 9 could go. This is a really evolving forecast, a lot of variables at play, and a far from certain track or timing of the storm. But right now, the National Hurricane Center strengthens Tropical Depression 9 into a Category 2 hurricane as it moves off of Cuba and potentially a Category 3 hurricane. Really warm Gulf waters will help fuel this storm as it moves closer to the southwest coast of Florida sometime next week. Right now, they have a landfall to the south of Tampa by Wednesday morning as a major Category 3 storm, and then eventually the storm pushes across Florida and back into the Atlantic. But still a lot to fine-tune here over the next several days. We've been showing you this graphic for a couple days now. This is our model comparison between the GFS, the American model, and the European model. The yellow lines you see are the GFS model, the red lines the European model, and the denser those lines get, the more close they become, the stronger the storm. So there is still pretty solid agreement that by Tuesday, this storm is at least over Cuba or working its way over Cuba. Then as we head toward Wednesday, you can see the European model has a landfall much earlier on Wednesday, while the GFS, several miles to the west, keeps it over the Gulf of Mexico. The European model then flies the storm across Florida into the Atlantic by Thursday. This is Thursday now. The GFS still has not made landfall. It churns the storm over the Gulf of Mexico as we head throughout most of next week, while the European model flies it up the east coast. Fast forward to Friday, the European model has a major hurricane potentially making landfall in New England, while the GFS is still just working its way through the southeastern United States. So the takeaway there is still a lot of time for this forecast to change, and it will change probably with every model run. So you want to check back frequently. I know that's frustrating to hear that we don't have a fine-tuned idea of where or when this storm is going to roll through, but trust me, we're keeping an eye on every model update and trying to get that most accurate forecast as we head throughout the next several days. Our spaghetti models have come into better agreement than they were this time yesterday. Again, the spaghetti models, each line indicates a different potential track of the storm, and yesterday those spaghetti models were everywhere from Cancun to Miami. So you can see there has been agreement that there will be some kind of interaction, likely with Cuba, and then where it goes from there, still way too soon to tell. But a landfall in Florida is looking increasingly likely as we head toward next week. Whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Friday, we will just have to wait and see. And again, where the storm goes from there, even less certain, and how it could impact us, of course, we'll be keeping a really close eye on over the next several days. If it takes a track like the European model, we're actually in better shape. Of course, it would mean rough seas, but if it tracks directly over our area, that means big issues for the tidal Potomac and potentially a bigger severe weather threat. And that for us, again, could probably be end of next week or next weekend over a week away. We know the forecast will change, so we'll keep you posted as we do learn more information. We're still keeping a really close eye on Fiona. Right now, those winds still 130 miles per hour. Now, we will get a new update from the National Hurricane Center at 5 o'clock tonight, and I do think they will have weakened Fiona down to a Category 3, still a major hurricane. But you can see the satellite imagery here over the past several hours, the eye becoming a little bit more clouded over, not nearly as well defined. I do think the storm is weakening as it pulls away from Bermuda, still moving really quickly though to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. For some perspective, the storm is moving around 8-9 miles per hour as it pulled away from Turks and Caicos earlier this week. So the storm has really picked up that forward motion, and as we head through the next several hours, really, we'll start to see those impacts on the Canadian Maritimes. The National Hurricane Center brings the storm up into parts of the Canadian Atlantic as a major Category 3 hurricane. This is going to be devastating for parts of the Canadian Maritimes and could even be a record strong storm with a record low barometric pressure for parts of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. Now, as it starts to interact with the land and the bay, it will start to weaken over the weekend, but we are still talking about potentially devastating storm surge, significant wind, and really heavy rainfall as Fiona continues to track to the north. So lots to watch there in the Canadian Maritimes. If you have loved ones in the area, if you have property or any kind of interest, you need to check in and make sure everyone is prepared and okay. And the same goes for Florida. It is not too soon to prepare, even though there is still so much uncertainty in the forecast. The time to prepare really is now, because both Fiona, going to be a really high impact storm for the Canadian Maritimes, and Tropical Depression 9, whether it's Ian or Hermine, is going to be potentially devastating for parts of Florida as well. So we're going to fine tune that forecast over the next several days. Again, said it before, I'll say it again. Just check back in with us. We're going to be doing these updates really frequently. There are hurricane watches in effect, or I'm sorry, hurricane warnings in effect for parts of the Canadian Maritimes, as well as tropical storm warnings. That's where you see the shading of red and yellow. Closer to home, thankfully, our forecast much quieter for the first official day of fall. It is just stunning if you haven't had a chance to get outside today. Nice blue skies as you look live now. Temperatures, though, really chilly. We're sitting at 69 degrees right now in D.C., 66 in Frederick, 66 in Leesburg, 69 down into Manassas as well. And the wind still fairly gusty, not nearly as strong as it was earlier this morning, and it will continue to diminish as we head throughout the afternoon, but still gusting 25 miles per hour in D.C., 24 in Leesburg, a little bit lesser so off to our south and western counties. And I do think as we head through the next several hours, we'll start to take out that wind chill factor a little bit more, which is great news if you're heading out to our game of the week. Friday night football, Falls Church is at Fairfax at 7 o'clock. Topper Shutt and Charlotte McBride are going to be out there, and it's going to be a chilly night for some ball as the game's getting underway at 7 o'clock. Temperature right around 60 degrees. Thankfully, the wind coming in much calmer from the north and west, around 5 miles per hour. But then once the sun sets, shortly after that game gets underway, temperatures already in the upper 50s. And with any kind of breeze, it's going to feel much cooler. And remember, unless you're jumping up and down cheering for the team, sitting in the chill makes it kind of cold. So just keep that in mind. And then overnight, under clear skies with calm wind, temperatures even colder than they were last night. We dropped down to 52 degrees in D.C., but elsewhere, temperatures in the mid to low 40s. 43 degrees in Martinsburg, 45 in Frederick, 45 down into Manassas as well, 43 overnight in Front Royal. So a chilly start to your weekend, but it ends up being pretty nice, especially Saturday. I'm giving Saturday the pick day of the weekend. Tons of sunshine, temperatures nice and comfortable in the mid to low 70s, a few degrees warmer than it was today. As we look ahead towards Sunday, a little bit warmer even still, temperatures in the upper 70s, but we'll see clouds increasing throughout the day and a few showers possible throughout the afternoon. Would not cancel any plans over the chance for rain on Sunday right now. A thunderstorm is possible as well, but I think a shower is the more likely scenario. So let's take you hour by hour using Futurecast and talk more about the rain for Sunday, because Saturday, just blue skies, maybe a few more clouds than today, but gorgeous start to the weekend. By Sunday, this is 6 a.m. I think we start the day just fine. Pretty much cloud free, but then by late morning, clouds start to increase. This is 9 a.m. and then by lunchtime, the rain starts to move in. But notice, this is right around 2 o'clock. A lot of folks are dry. Best chance for rain looks to be in our northwestern counties and closer to the Pennsylvania border. We'll keep the chance for a shower or downpour, maybe even a thunderstorm in the forecast as we head through later Sunday night. But the showers look very scattered, Again, would not cancel any plans over this chance for rain. If you're heading out to the Commanders game, maybe take a poncho just to be safe, but I think they'll get the game in just fine without any real issues from the rain. As we look ahead toward next week, temperatures progressively get cooler. We'll start off Monday right around 76 degrees, which is a little bit cooler than we should be for this time of the year, but nowhere near the chill that moves in for the rest of the week. Tuesday all the way into next weekend, temperatures in the low 70s, maybe even upper 60s. So we are closing out the month of September and heading into October with really unseasonably cool temperatures. Temperatures about 5 to 10 degrees cooler on any given day than they should be for this time of the year. As we look ahead towards next weekend and the start of next week, temperatures still only in the low 70s. So just like magic, as the clock struck 9:03 last night and it became fall, it's certainly feeling like it. A look at the 7-day forecast. Beautiful for Saturday. Tons of sunshine, temperature in the low 70s. Sunday, a little bit warmer, but also the chance for some rain. The Nats are back at home next week. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday looks great if you want to head out to the ballpark. I'll be out there on Monday with Eco 9. They catch a quick break on Thursday, but then they are back at it on Friday. And the forecast really just looks very nice as we head into next week. So again, not much going on at home, a lot going on in the tropics, and we get that National Hurricane Center update at 5 o'clock. So be sure to tune in to WUSA 9 starting at 5. We're going to have the very latest track and information on all of these important storms that we're watching. In the meantime, I hope you have a great Friday afternoon.